Coming to you from a studio somewhere out there. It's Enough Already Radio with Fingers Malloy and Tracy L. Connors.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to another Enough Already podcast. I'm Fingers. She's Tracy. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, Fingers.
Are you by the pool today?
Not yet.
What's the pool like at your place?
It's fairly calm.
Yeah?
Yeah, not a lot going on.
In your community pool, is there are a lot of elderly people at the pool? Oh, boy, that's bad news.
Why?
They're very free with their bodies.
Oh.
When you get a certain age, you just don't give a shit anymore, and, you know, I'm a fat boy, but I'm still in my mid-40s, so I'm still conscious of the fact that nobody wants to see me in swim trunks, I think.
So you wear a T-shirt into the water?
Oh, yeah. Sneakers, T-shirt, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, God.
No. I just don't go to the pool. But, you know, once you get to be a certain age, I was a member of a gym that had a pool, and they had co-ed days instead of, or not co-ed days. They separated it by days. It wasn't a co-ed pool. So Mondays would be the men could use the pool, Tuesdays women, and they'd alternate days. So I went to the gym pool once, and they're like 80-year-old men swimming naked in the pool.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just
they
didn't
allowed
care.
that?
Yeah, didn't care. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you should have identified as a woman and gone on Women's Days. Spare yourself.
So do you find that at the community pool that I'm not...
No, they keep their pants on.
No, I get that, but I mean, you're looking at these swimsuits going, oh my gosh, could you cover up, sir, a little bit?
No.
Any Speedos or anything like that?
No, nothing like that.
Oh.
It's very tame.
Wow. Can you drink at the pool?
Yes, you can.
Do you drink at the pool?
No.
No. I found something the other day at the grocery store and I thought of you.
Oh.
I'd never seen this before, and I'm sure it's been around for a long time. Why wouldn't it be? But I had never seen it. Wine in cans.
I saw that for the first time when I was in Oregon.
Really?
Yep, and I tried it. It's delicious.
See, there you go. Why not take a 6-pack of wine down to the pool in a cooler?
Well, because in the state of Pennsylvania, we haven't seen fit to sell wine in cans yet. And also because day drinking is only something to do on vacation.
But when you're at the community pool, it's almost like being on vacation.
I guess so. But I typically go to the gym in the late afternoon, and you can't be drunk at the gym.
Oh.
It's a little dangerous.
So the other big news for me, I made your keto cheesecake.
Oh.
And I'm looking forward to tearing into it. Me and the 8-year-old made it last night, and it's been sitting in my refrigerator all night.
So she abandoned her straw manufacturing calls
Yeah.
to help you cook?
Yeah. It was nice of her to do that.
Is she the one that dug up the data on the source of all that pollution for us?
Yes, we have an article. We can talk about it later. But yeah, it's I'm looking forward to it. It's only an inch thick though.
That's normal.
Okay, that's good.
It depends on what size pan you make it in.
Yeah, I made it in a 9-inch pan. Most of it looks like 55% of it's crust.
Okay.
That's a bad
No. Probably the pan was a little big.
Yeah.
But it'll taste the same.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Yes. It's the best keto dessert I've ever found.
So what's up with you? Got
Just
anything going on?
working.
Yeah?
Work.
Oh, look at you. And you're taking time out from the pool.
I know, it's a big deal.
To do our podcast. So, well, let's get started then. What do you want to talk about this week?
Oh, should we move right into the research that was done by your daughter so nicely for us?
Why not? So, last week we were joking about the straw controversy, the straw bannings, the straw bans, the straw bannings. God, I need another cup of coffee. Jesus Christ. Santa Barbara, California, passed an ordinance. I believe it was Santa Barbara. What did they say? 22 years in prison Hard time.
Life sentence.
$500,000 fine if you hand out straws willy-nilly. If you're some poor server at Applebee's. I'm sure they have Applebee's in Santa Barbara, don't they? You're in California.
Probably not in Santa Barbara.
No?
I would think they'd have ordinances against places like that.
Chili's?
No.
Benihana?
No.
Oh. Well, whatever food fa restaurant. P.F. Chang's?
No.
Whatever food.
I'm guessing they ban all chain restaurants from a place like Santa Barbara. Look, they're banning Straw's Fingers.
Mm-hmm.
You think they're letting an Outback in there?
I don't know. Maybe the city council thinks of the poor people that would eat at an Outback.
I don't think they have poor people in Santa Barbara.
None?
No. Maybe the domestics.
Wonder if there's a huge homeless population in Santa Barbara.
Possibly.
Tent city.
Seems like every city in California has a huge homeless problem.
What is Santa Barbara a sanctuary city? Do we know this? Do we have? I'll get the 8-year-old on that to do the research.
Please.
But no, we found the 8-year-old found a story. What was it? Daily Mail. I gotta open up our show prep.
Yeah, it is the Daily Mail.
Where are you? I had it open, Tracy.
I know, I have it open. It's
go ahead.
2017 story. Shocking report reveals that 95% of the plastic polluting the world's oceans comes from just 10 rivers.
All in the United States, right?
Oh, totally. It's the Mississippi, the Missouri, the Ohio, those.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Delaware.
So, the Starbucks River crosses the Burger King River and dumps all of its plastic pollution into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
It's Asia and Africa.
Yep. 8 of the rivers are in Africa, 8 of the rivers are in Asia, 2 are in Africa. So, and the Yangtze and the Ganges are big representatives. They're bringing it. Well, I remember, and I don't know about you, but learning in school how filthy the Ganges River is in India.
I went to a public school. We didn't talk about that.
So did I. But I think they burn bodies and chuck them in there, and it's pretty sick. So straws are probably the least of our concerns about what's floating down there.
Well, I know in India,
that's the Ganges.
They just banned throwing burning bodies in the river.
Oh, okay.
So straws seem okay.
Yeah. Not so bad. Yeah, I just Googled real quickly bodies in the Ganges from 2015. More than 100 unidentified dead bodies were found floating in the Ganges. Yeah.
Were they poisoned by the Russians?
Yes. Who told you?
The 8-year-old.
There you go. She's our crack researcher.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's amazing. That piece came out in 2017. It's all over Facebook right now.
Yeah.
From the righties on Facebook saying, "Oh, well, isn't this interesting?"
Yeah. No, it's not. I don't know why this is such a shock to everybody. I guess people don't travel outside of the United States and see how filthy most other countries are.
I do my best not to travel outside of the United States. I did it one time. Went to Mexico. Cancun, back in the 90s.
Yeah, that's hardly Mexico.
Yeah, and back then, it was safe. At least safer compared to now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can't even... I'm seeing... There are airlines that are starting to cut flights back from resort areas in Mexico because people aren't traveling down there as much anymore because of how dangerous it's gotten even in the resort areas.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I went down there, they warned you not to go to downtown Cancun at night. They're like, oh, yeah, you can kind of go down there during the day. Don't forget you take your dysentery pills. But don't be down there at night. You know, okay. They even warned us about the food down there.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't want to eat anything that's been washed in the water.
Yeah.
Right? So no salads. Always ask for no ice in your drink.
Yeah. So.
And to think that countries like that are throwing garbage into their rivers. Who would have thought? Well, here's an article I found from Vice. Let me see. This is from February of this year. So it says, India's Ganges River is the main source of water for 500 million people. It's also holy to the country's almost 1 billion Hindus who bathe in the river to be cleansed of their sins. But the river's cleansing abilities are limited by the fact that the Ganges is one of the world's most polluted waterways. 1 billion gallons of raw sewage and industrial waste currently pour into it every day.
Is it safe to call any country that does that a shithole? I'm just curious.
I think so. I mean, 1 billion gallons of shit go into this river every day.
I know we have new rules, so I don't know.
This cracks me up. So the Indian government's most recent initiative to tackle the pollution problem, Namami Ganges, that's the name of the program, I guess, was announced in 2014 and promised $3 billion in funding. So far, it's yielded very few results. Imagine that. And a 2017 investigation concluded that only $205 million had been spent, with no result, mind you. So here's my favorite. Still, the government has launched some pretty outlandish plans, including breeding thousands of flesh-eating turtles to deal with the 200 tons of half-cremated, decomposing bodies that Hindus place in the river every year. And they commissioned an official pop anthem for the river to rouse patriotic sentiment. We've got to find that song.
Well, my concern is you throw all of these flesh-eating turtles into the river, and then they choke on straws.
Well, why can't they just breed straw-eating turtles?
And yeah, then we have to have an army of straw-eating turtles, and it never ends.
Right. Well, it's like that Simpsons episode, right? Where they went to Australia. What did they bring? Frogs?
Yeah.
And just destroyed the ecosystem over there. Well, okay, so people bathe in this river, right? So the flesh-eating turtles, are they going to attack them?
Oh.
No, it's so gross. But of course, it's our fault.
Right. We're doing our part.
It couldn't be this. Nobody seems to be worried about the 1 billion gallons of sewage that are being washed down that river into the ocean every day. No, that shouldn't be of any concern. I don't know about you because you don't swim in the ocean, but to me,
No.
I'd rather run into a plastic straw than some raw sewage.
Well, you have to worry about sea lice.
That's true.
Though that reminds just how I don't know why this is popping into my head, but have you seen the viral video on Facebook of this guy who looks like he's about Bob Barker's age and kind of looks like Bob Barker? He jumps into a ditch to try to ride an alligator.
No.
He throws his coat on the alligator's head. It's like a jacket, and the alligator is kind of ticked off about it and turns his head. And then he gets on the alligator's back. The alligator turns around and bites him in the arm.
No.
Yeah, and then he pulls away almost with, which is stunning to me, a look of shock on his face that the alligator would turn around and bite him on the arm for trying to ride him.
Is he the father of the woman who was feeding a shark and was shocked when it bit her and dragged her in the water?
It's like, where does boy, I need a cup of coffee. I am not firing on all cylinders. I just can't believe that if you're an idiot that would do something like that, and you're having a family member film you, why would you upload that on the internet?
Well, because you're going to make money off of the hits.
It's on Facebook. It's just a Facebook video.
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to drive traffic to some page.
I don't know. It's crazy. So now it's bad enough that you can't in the South ride alligators.
Yeah.
Now in India you can't jump into the river and bathe anymore because you got to worry about turtles biting at your arm.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, good God. All right, what else do you want to talk about?
Should we talk about the possible assassination attempt on Presidente Maduro?
Well, isn't it funny how we talk about these things, and then a couple weeks later, shit goes down?
Well, we live in a simulation, don't you know? We put this thought out there, and a couple weeks later, it materializes.
Well, it's actually scary. If you have the story in front of you, if you want to.
I do. Well, which version of the story? The version where they think it's real, or the version where they decided that it's BS?
Oh, let's go with the real story.
Well, I guess I can start with the story that first comes out, and then the story that negates that story. So we start with the UK Sun. And the headline is, "A flying bomb. Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro survives an assassination bid using drones packed with explosives during a live TV speech." So they actually have footage of him yapping, and I couldn't understand what he was saying. And then all of a sudden, his wife is standing next to him. You see both of them look up, and she starts cowering. And then it cuts away from them, and we lose sound and all this. So you don't see anything happen. But according to this earlier report, he survived an assassination attempt during this speech, and hundreds of soldiers broke ranks and sprinted for cover as the blasts rang out over the capital of Caracas, and 7 soldiers were hurt. So he, of course, called on Trump to help him fight against these terrorist groups that are responsible for this, because he believes that they were either funded by expats living in Miami, of course, and the Colombian government is also responsible. So then we jump over to the Daily Mail, and they're saying, was Venezuela drone attack faked? Firefighters claim explosion in assassination bid was actually a gas tank blowing up. And TV cameras failed to capture footage of the, quote, drones, but President Maduro rounds up political opponents, of course. So this is just some ruse to garner support. So it says questions have been raised about whether the, quote, drone attack against the president of Venezuela was faked after he began blaming his political opponents for attempting to assassinate him. But TV cameras failed to capture any footage of the missiles, and they had cameras all over the place. This is how they do these things down there. And firefighters said the incident was actually a gas explosion. He had been addressing a military parade in Caracas on live TV, convenient, when he suddenly halted and looked to the sky after hearing an explosion. Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were swamped with aides carrying bulletproof shields, and both escaped uninjured. The visibly shaken head of state said a, quote, flying device exploded before his eyes and quickly blamed his, quote, ultra-right opponents.
Of course.
But no drones were seen on television footage, which cut out. No footage of drones emerged on social media either. Then 3 fire officials at the scene disputed the government's version of events. They're probably dead now. Claiming the attack was actually a gas tank explosion inside the Residencias Don Eduardo apartment building. Smoke could be seen coming out of that a building window at the site of the incident. But 55-year-old Maduro promised a crackdown of his rivals as he vowed to bring those responsible, no matter who falls. Oh, bring down those, excuse me. This was an attempt to kill me, he said, in an impassioned retelling of the events. He added, they've tried to assassinate me, and everything points to the Venezuelan ultra-right in alliance with the Colombian far-right, and that the name of Juan Manuel Santos is behind this attack. That's the president of Colombia. So, Information Minister Jorge Rodriguez said several drones loaded with explosive charges detonated near the presidential platform, and that some of those behind the attack were detained. Right. In a statement 3 hours later, Maduro said everything points to a right-wing plot that early investigation suggested was linked to Colombia, its president, Juan Manuel Santos, and the United State of Florida. This is verbatim, where many Venezuelan exiles live. He said several plotters have been arrested without giving any further details. My guess is the only people that were arrested are people that have contradicted his story. So. Bolton has come out and said we had nothing to do with this, of course.
His next story will be that he and Chelsea Clinton landed under fire in Bosnia.
Right. But this is stupid. This might give people ideas down there.
Well, yeah, I read that and I thought to myself, this was eventually going to happen at some point, right?
You would think so.
At the 4th of July fireworks celebration we had in central Indiana, I watched this drone just fly all over the crowd and everything, and it got closer and closer to where they were shooting off the fireworks. And I thought to myself, wow, that's really dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was all innocent. It just had a camera on it and was filming the footage, but that could easily be loaded with anything.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no way to control this, really. I know you're supposed to get a license to fly those if you're going above a certain height.
Which I'm sure everyone will do.
Yeah.
But no, it's a scary world we're living in where these things just fly anywhere. I've seen, I was sending people footage of the old Pontiac Silverdome. People were flying drones. The roof had collapsed. Mm-hmm. And you could be like a mile away or whatever. I don't know the range of these things. Yeah, they have
the one that one of my coworkers has, and it's pretty cool. We've used it for some aerial footage. Mm-hmm. His has a 5-mile range.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, no, you're right.
Yeah, so people were flying into the Superdome.
Yeah, Silverdome. Yeah, to show how how it had deteriorated because it had been completely neglected. The roof had caved in, and I thought to myself, wow, you just flew into a stadium. I mean, there's obviously nobody there, but what if there were a crowd?
Mm-hmm. Well, tell me how to stop it.
I don't know how you stop it. So, no, you're right. It gives people ideas. Although, if you have a drone in Venezuela, it's probably on your dinner table right now.
Right.
So, that's where I was scratching my head. I was like, oh, really? They have drones flying? Or people, they can't even afford a cheeseburger.
Well, this is why people in Florida are being blamed.
Yeah. But if you watch the video footage, it looks... there's something amiss there.
Mm-hmm.
There are weird cuts, and you figure, okay, well, maybe it's because it's state-run TV. But it's weird how, like you said, they look up, and then all of a sudden they have a close-up of a soldier's face.
Yeah.
And then they pan away, and you see the army, like, running toward... I don't know if it's they're running toward the president or if... they're just running toward the drone. I don't know, but the whole thing just looks fishy.
Mm-hmm. That's because it is.
Yeah.
Well, and what better way to galvanize your people, right?
Right.
Somebody tried to kill the president because they hate our way of life. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So we must rally and keep with the plan.
As far as they just come out and say it was the CIA.
I'm surprised that they didn't.
Yeah. All right. What else you got?
Let's see. Netroots was going on this weekend.
Have you ever been to Netroots?
Yes.
Did we go together?
Yes.
See, I never actually made it to the conference.
Oh, I did.
For those that don't know, for years now, they... we have CPAC for conservatives, where conservatives get together and have big-name politicians and people in right-wing media come to speak. And then the left's version of it is Netroots. Mm-hmm. And they have it every year, and they move around the country. And this year it's in New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
One year it was in Detroit. Is that where did you go?
No, the year that we were both there was Providence.
Rhode Island. That's right. So before we get into Cynthia Nixon, you were actually boots on the ground at a Netroots.
Yep.
What was it like?
It was entertaining. to say the least. I remember meeting my first commie anarchist there. He was outside, and this was Occupy was going on then, right?
Yes.
I feel like there was a little occupation crowd outside, and this is when I got to interface with this gentleman who was wearing, I can't remember if he had Ray-Bans or Oakley sunglasses on, Nikes, all
all the typical communist garb, right?
Yeah, he's pulling stuff up on his iPhone to show me his Twitter handle, and but I borrowed his guitar from him, played a couple, revolution songs, and then we got into it. How does you're an anarcho-communist, huh? Okay, cool. How does that work? Oh, it'll be great. Like, the government just withers away, and then we all just share stuff.
That's beautiful. Without
enforcement? Oh yeah, totally. Everybody will just willingly do that. What if people don't want to work? Oh no, that won't happen. Okay. What do you do right now? I'm unemployed. All right. Cool story. This is totally a thing that's going to happen. But then in the conference, there was, unlike CPAC, most of the big tech companies were represented. So I remember I got as much free stuff as I could.
Yeah. Good. Was it good stuff?
It was okay. I got a pair of Google sunglasses.
Oh, nice.
That became my beach glasses because I didn't care about them. Mm-hmm. And they lasted 3 or 4 seasons at the beach.
Oh, okay.
I got some sweet temporary tattoos, if I remember, that were anti-Grover Norquist. And I acted really, really dumb when I went up to their booth because I just made it a plot. I was like, okay, this is team free stuff, so I'm taking as much free stuff from them as they're willing to give me.
Right.
So I walk up to this booth with these, no Grover, or I can't remember how it was phrased, but I said, why do you guys have beef with Grover? He's like my favorite Muppet. And they said, oh, no, it's Grover Norquist. And I said, oh, I don't know who that is. Can you tell me why I should hate him? Like, yeah, he said he wants to shrink government down to the size that it could all fit in the bathtub. I was like, well, that sounds fairly reasonable. Can I have one of those tattoos? Sure. They had life-size cutouts of the Clintons that you could get your photo taken with.
Oh, wow.
And I did.
Do you think they had life-size photos of the Clintons that you could get a photo with this year?
I don't know. Probably not. They might have a life-size Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah.
And the real thing.
And Superstorm Sandy.
Because she's always there. I don't know if Sandy was there or not. I'd have to dig. I didn't see anything of her there.
What were the restrooms like?
I don't know that I used the restroom.
Oh.
And this was before the whole gender war started.
Yeah, but they're ahead of the curve on that stuff.
Yeah. I don't remember. I do remember, and I didn't go into this breakout or speech or whatever. I didn't watch any of their speeches. Mm-hmm. But a couple of the people that were with us did. And I remember seeing them come out of a room where I believe Elizabeth Warren had spoken, and I'm not sure if she's the person that said this or if it was somebody from NARAL or Planned Parenthood or whatever. But the 2 women that I was, that were part of our group that were there to observe from the right came out, and they just looked pale and completely stricken. And I was like, what just happened in there? And they said that they had asked any woman that had had an abortion to please stand up so they could give them a round of applause.
Wow.
Yeah, they deified them as heroes. And they were just totally appalled. And I tend to agree, even though I'm way more pro-choice than they are. I mean, they were hardcore pro-lifers. I was still like, that's pretty gross.
What was the safe and rare?
Yeah. Nope. We're going to applaud you for this.
Wow.
God forbid we talk about the psychological ramifications and the health ramifications and all that. I mean, that's what annoys me more than anything, is they act like it's no big deal.
And then want to lecture other people at being science deniers.
Yeah. No, it's totally fine. You're not going to have any issues whatsoever. It's just like having a mole removed.
Well, and I know personally, as someone who has had 2 moles removed, the psychological scars from that have lasted a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. So this year, Netroots is in New Orleans, like I said earlier, and Cynthia Nixon, who is going to run for president in 2020.
She's currently running for governor of New York.
That primary hasn't happened yet?
No, it has. I believe. No, you know what? I think their primaries, I believe, are in September.
Wow. Okay, so Cynthia Nixon gets up in front of the Netroots crazies, and what am I going to play here, Tracy?
If you cued it to where I'm talking about,
yes.
She's proudly proclaiming herself to be a Democrat socialist because it's working so well for our girl super socialist Storm Sandy.
Okay, this is Cynthia Nixon addressing the nut jobs at Netroots.
I hadn't called myself a democratic socialist before, but I realized that my values and what I'm fighting for are directly aligned with that movement. So, if being a democratic socialist means believing that health care and housing and education should be a human right, then I am a democratic socialist. If it means standing up against inequality in all its forms and taking action to equalize wealth and power in our society, then I am a democratic socialist. The establishment is terrified of that word, socialism. But if we learned one thing from the Obama years, it's that Republicans are going to call us socialists no matter what we do. So we might as well give them the real thing.
There you go. You hear the cheers for that?
Yeah.
That party is destroying itself.
I will give her this. The years of acting have made her a very good public speaker.
You think so? Are you being sarcastic?
No, I don't. When I hear her, it's not as shrill to me as Hillary Clinton.
Fair enough.
She's likable.
You think so?
I think so.
Well,
what she said is ridiculous.
That watch Sex in the City like her.
Well, I'm a huge Sex in the City fan. Couldn't get enough of that show. That one episode where the older broad was sleeping with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's every episode, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You've seen one, you've seen them all. This is why I haven't seen a single one.
But okay, where do we begin with this?
Well, I'm just shocked. I mean, there's more to that. I think she spoke for about 10 minutes, maybe. And at other portions of it, she went more into depth about how corrupt the Democrat Party is and the Democratic establishment is, which she's not incorrect about. But like we were saying in 2016, the Democrat Party is in just as much of a disarray as the Republican Party is. And now you're seeing it come to fruition. And the Netroots people do represent, I think, the far left. But they're dying for this stuff. They can't get enough.
Well, this is red tofu for the New York, San Francisco Democrat. And good luck in Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio with that message. I mean, listen, Nancy Pelosi is 3 years short of 100. And it's criminal how the mainstream media continues to protect this woman. Every week, it seems like she gets in front of a microphone and her brain, it's scrambled eggs. It sounds like me today. She gets names confused, numbers, doesn't know what she's talking about half the time. She doesn't know who she's talking to. And no one questions her faculties. That would be sexist. So they're looking for a fresh face because you can't call a 98-year-old woman who's been in Congress for decades a fresh face. So here you've got the Cynthia Nixons of the world, the Superstorm Sandys, stepping up their game, trying to put a fresh face on the Democratic Party. Well, unfortunately, this is their message.
Yeah.
I would like to be able to vote for a Democrat.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I would like to turn somewhere. I mean, I would love for the Libertarian Party to be a viable option, to actually win elections.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sick of the Republican Party taking us for granted. But I can't vote for this shit.
No.
You kidding me? I mean, I could hold my nose and vote for Joe Lieberman, but they chased him out of the party.
Yep.
I'm sure he would be, if Joe Lieberman showed up at Netroots, can you imagine the anger?
Oh, he would get booed, if not outright attacked.
I mean, he's the type of Democrat that Cynthia Nixon wants to chase out of the party. She says it in the speech.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know if you'll remember, but in 2016, I think Hillary was maybe the only one that didn't go to Netroots of all the primary candidates. Mm-hmm. And they hounded Martin O'Malley about whether Black Lives Matter or not. And he gave the unfortunate answer that all lives matter. And that was the end of him at Netroots.
Mm-hmm.
Can't have that. And by that point, Bernie had already been had his little moment, I think, in Seattle, where the microphone was taken out of his hand.
Oh, I
so
forgot about that. Yeah.
He knew what to do. Fall right in line. But he wasn't there this year, which is interesting. I don't know if he's building... I do believe he's building his own satellite party apparatus, that's just to hoover up cash, but...
Wow.
Yes. But just so you know, there is a chance that a libertarian could win this governorship in New York.
Oh, who's running?
This gentleman by the name of Larry Sharp, who is quite sharp.
I see what you did there.
Yes, I've heard him speak. I've heard him on numerous podcasts, of the libertarian stripe that I listen to. And he's not a Bill Weld, Gary Johnson libertarian. He's a legit libertarian. And here's the deal, that for some reason they don't have their state primaries the same day as they have their national primaries.
Okay.
So the New York gubernatorial primary isn't until September.
That's
September 13th.
Crazy.
Well, it's a waste of money. So they could have had it in conjunction with the other ones and just been done with it like we do in most other states. I don't know how you do it in Indiana, but that's what we do in Pennsylvania. It's all one day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So talk about depressing voter turnout, What do we figure that Super Socialist Storm Sandy won because only 27,000 people in their district of 900,000 voted that day? Well, imagine how few are going to turn out on September 13th. But it's a 5-way race. And it sounds like everybody's going to get through the primary because they're running on different party tickets. So Cuomo is running as a Democrat, I believe, but he's also on the ballot for the Independence Party and the Women's Equality Party.
Wow.
Which is interesting considering that there's a couple of women in the race. Then the Republican's name is Marcus Molinaro. He's running as a Republican, a conservative, and a Reform Party candidate. So he's on the ballot 3 times. Cynthia Nixon is running on the Working Families Party. And she's also running cross-filed as a Democrat. Then there's someone named Howie Hawkins that's running as the Green candidate, Larry Sharp as the Libertarian, and Stephanie Miner as the Serve America Movement Party candidate. So wait a minute. Is that more than 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. So Sharp's contention is they have you don't have to break 50% to win. So if he can get 30%, he's good. So he's been traveling the state, showing up anywhere that'll have him, and talking to people about what the heck's going on. And how Albany's destroying their state. Yeah.
I just can't imagine having a primary in the middle of September and the election in November.
Well, it's crazy, right?
What a system.
It's a really dumb system. Well, it just doesn't make any sense that they had their regular, the national primary, if that's what I'm sure there's a better term for that, but that was what, 2 months ago, a month and a half ago?
Yeah.
Which was pretty late in the cycle. But to have 2 separate ones, it's just like New York State just wants to waste money. They do.
Yeah.
They do. So I don't know how much of a chance Sharp really has. He seems very optimistic. And he said in polls where people actually know who he is, he polls above 20. So he's just, if he could raise his name recognition a bit. And they are going to have, I believe, 1 debate with all 5 of these or 6 of these people on the stage together.
Oh, I hope Cynthia Nixon wins.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. I hope she's the new governor of New York.
So she can just destroy it once and for all?
Well, I want her on the national stage with that message where everyone can point and say that's what the new Democratic Party is right there.
You don't think we've gotten that already with our girl Sandy?
Well, look, that's nice and everything, but she will be a congressman in 1 district. Be a freaking governor?
Yeah.
And she'll be if Cynthia Nixon wins, she'll be the toast of the town. I mean, the media requests will go through the roof. She probably will be a celebrity governor. She probably won't even be in the governor's mansion very much. It'll all be on MSNBC every night. It'll be like Jesse Ventura.
Yeah, did he do much governing?
Not that I remember. But to think that Andrew Cuomo is too much of a right-winger for these people.
Well, and his strategy is now that he's just going to be a bulwark against Trump, right?
Yeah.
They're going to sue the Supreme Court. What's that what he said?
I didn't hear this.
I think this was about, Roe v. Wade could be overturned with the flick of a pen, that garbage. And he said New York State will sue. Like, who are you going to sue? You see Neil Gorsuch? John Roberts? I mean, who? Oh, and speaking of, I know that I didn't add this to the show notes, but I did see Ruth Bader Ginsburg has come out and said she's not retiring for at least another 5 years.
Yeah.
And they're thrilled. And yet we hear, that the left is in bad shape now and they think they're going to lose in the fall because they're back to talking about Trump's mental status.
Yeah.
And invoking the 25th Amendment to remove him from office. And he's, 72?
Yeah.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg is 85.
She's sharp as a tack, though.
Of course. She's a hero.
Well,
and she's going to stay until she's in her 90s.
I don't have the piece in front of me, but we talked about this on Snark this week. Leftists are lining up to volunteer to donate organs to Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
What?
Yeah. She needs them. She needs a kidney.
She needs spares just hanging around?
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Yes.
That's a real thing.
Just saying.
Oh,
really?
wow.
That can't be a real... They probably have a booth at Netroots.
Okay.
Just for that purpose.
I'm seeing 3 different people covering this story. God, BuzzFeed's headlines are so pathetically millennial. So people are literally offering up their organs to keep Ruth Bader Ginsburg healthy. These people are insane.
She's like the C. Montgomery Burns of the Supreme Court.
She looks like him. I didn't realize BuzzFeed still does their articles using nothing but GIFs.
Really?
To make points. Yeah, this is all GIFs and tweets about her. So it's people on Twitter seeing this.
Oh.
It's like 6 people on Twitter. I'm an organ donor, so she can harvest whatever she needs from me, to be honest. That's a tweet from some rando that has 4 likes. And they turned this into an article. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, good for...
Yeah, there is one that does have 263 retweets. It says Ruth Bader Ginsburg can have one of my kidneys. I'm not using it. Why did they expect her to go into organ failure?
Because she's 107.
Unbelievable.
Really?
This is how devoted they are to their church.
I don't think it's unbelievable at all.
No, I guess you're right. But I don't know. I think I could find a picture of her drinking out of a plastic straw. Totally blow up her spot.
But she's not actually drinking a beverage. It's dinner.
No, it's human growth hormone and stem cells.
I don't know. I used to work in a kitchen for a senior center. And the pureed food, you could suck it right out of a straw.
Oh, they're going to have to find a new delivery method. I did encounter paper straws this week.
Did you really? How'd that work for you?
Yeah, it got a little soggy.
That's a shocker.
Yeah. And there's no ban here in the state. I think, they're preemptively switching over to these paper straws. It's big papers behind this, damn it.
Oh, why don't we start that? The lumber industry's behind this whole movement. Scam pack.
Could be.
Wow.
I have to get to the bottom of who's making money off of this.
Follow the dollar.
Yep. What if we find out? I know the Cokes have a lot of plastics, but do they also make paper straws? If we could pin this on them, the left would turn tail in a second.
Well, I think we need to make a video.
I think you're right. Let's get the 8-year-old on it. Get her to do some research for us.
I'll start making some memes in Microsoft Paint. Get on this.
Thank you. You can get one of those Russian troll farms working on it. They were really good with their Facebook ads.
Do you think Steven Seagal knows anything about that?
I don't know. Maybe he's the one behind the whole thing.
So, speaking of Steven Seagal, apparently, because, before we do that, I know you wanted to talk about Mika.
Oh, well, this is, we were just alluding to that they're back to now Trump needs to have his head examined.
Yeah.
He's unfit. He's completely unhinged. Because he's back out on the campaign trail, doing his rallies, which is his favorite thing.
Yeah, and Jim Acosta, his sphincter puckered because he was standing on a platform.
And he's surrounded by senior citizens chanting CNN sucks, and he feels like his life is in danger.
You know what's so comical about this whole thing? As someone who has been in right-wing media for 10 years now, and how CNN has demonized anyone who is to the right of Joe Lieberman. Now 63 million people are part of the alt-right in this country, according to many at CNN. Over the years, I've been at conferences that have been threatened by leftists, stormed by leftists.
And if you'll remember the deplorable that was put on during the inauguration, O'Keefe and his guys caught a bunch of lefties that had planned on pumping, I can't remember what toxin, into the ventilation system.
Yeah.
And yeah. And then we've got the shooter at the baseball game.
Right. So,
Rand Paul getting attacked by his next door neighbor.
I'd love to feel for Jim Acosta, but seriously, you just roll your eyes that he's worried that some blue hairs are saying CNN sucks and somebody gave him the finger.
No, he's such a beta male. Like, this is what scares you? You're not surviving if shit really goes bad. Like, he couldn't have even... Brian Williams's made-up stories would leave him petrified.
Well, that's what's so comical. I mean, to see media types that were war correspondents and what they had to deal with. You go to some of the old footage of Walter Cronkite in Vietnam, and then you got Jim Acosta scared to be in Tampa.
Yeah, what about Lara Logan? You remember her?
Oh my gosh, why am I brain farting on that? Well, because I'm having an awful day today. What?
She was in Cairo covering the wonderful Arab Spring.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the outbreak of freedom, and then got gang raped.
But Jim Acosta, his life is in danger.
Yes.
At a Trump rally. Unbelievable.
I think a lot of these people are living out some Hunter S. Thompson fantasy that they have.
Yeah.
But they seem to think that they should be part of the story, which was Hunter's whole thing. But unlike Hunter, they have no spine. They're so terrified. And I credit a lot of that to all the drugs he was on. But he lived with the Hells Angels for a year or so, and down on the floor at the Republican convention in 1972, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And I've read quite a bit of what he's written, and never once was he in fear for his life during all of those things. But here you go. It's just like, I have to wonder if he watches the footage of himself and thinks like, yeah, you're doing a good job, Jim. It's totally reasonable to react that way. 47-year-old men. This is how they behave.
And to be shocked at how they're being treated.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe that I'm a vital part of democracy. I'm shining light on corruption. Oh, you are? Boy, because I could have sworn you just took an 8-year nap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they treated every president like this.
Right. But also the stuff they choose to focus on is so frivolous and silly.
Yeah. Well, and Trump brings a lot of that on himself.
Yeah.
There's no reason to lie about the size of your inauguration crowd.
Right, but you can do that as a strategy to keep them distracted while you're actually doing real things.
That's true.
Which is what's been going on. Like we saw the big economic numbers, and now they don't want to talk about that. So they'd rather talk about his tweets or, oh my God, he still continues to call the press the enemy of the people. And that's dangerous for us. Oh, okay. Show me any proof that statement is true, that you're in danger.
Yeah.
Just because you think it, this is all in your head. And, Sarah Huckabee Sanders kind of shot him down because he was whining at the press briefing about this. And she had to explain that, hey, I'm as far as I know, I'm the first press secretary in history to ever have to have Secret Service protection.
Yeah.
Because you guys have turned me into an enemy of the people.
For being a spinster. I mean, every press secretary lies.
Yes.
And yet
that's what their job is.
Yeah. I am the White House liar.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, this woman, before that, Spicer.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was we've never seen anything like this before. We've never seen a White House press secretary lie. Oh, really?
We've never seen a president lie. This is just unprecedented.
So now, like you said, now we're going back to we're not sure the president is well.
Of course.
And your favorite cartoon show.
Yes.
Morning Joe. By the way, is Joe still on the show?
This is the thing that I don't understand. Why is this called Morning Joe when he seems to be on vacation?
Yeah.
3 days a week. And he's in the studio maybe 25 to 30% of the time.
What else does he have going on?
He plays music, you know. He does.
Yes, I know. I've seen awful pictures of him with his legs crossed like a chick wearing shoes with no socks.
Oh yeah, loafers.
Yeah, playing the guitar. So I know he does it. That's probably how he got Mika to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a real badass.
Probably played Wonderful Tonight for her.
But like I said, that show is such a joke. They repeat the first hour during the third hour 90% of the time. Sometimes they go live during the third hour. But what a great gig.
Yeah.
It's like you get paid every day. You don't have to show up. Half the time he's remote. I'm assuming that he's sitting in his house in front of a green screen without pants on. This is just an assumption. I don't know for sure, but
Mika has to be there.
Yeah. Sometimes she's gone. They were both gone for a whole week, and I didn't know if they had finally gotten married, but then there was no discussion of it. Maybe where they were.
Maybe they're breaking up.
I don't know.
Maybe there's trouble in paradise.
Could be, or maybe they both went in for some facial adjustments.
Oh, nip tuck?
Yep. Remember what Trump said? He saw that blood. I still don't think that she's never getting over that.
I'm so offended by that, Tracy. I nearly fainted when I heard that.
Yes.
Was it a tweet? I can't even remember anymore. It doesn't matter to me.
I think it was a tweet. I'll see if I can find it because it was a classic.
Nearly fainted. So Danny Deutsch and Mika are talking about the president of the United States. We have audio from Real Clear Politics.
Never seen before.
So my take is this. It's blunt, fair to say, but I've been there before, and I did it when it wasn't cool to do. And I'm going to do it again.
Oh, my God.
She's cutting edge fingers. She's a trendsetter. She trashed Trump before it was cool to do that. Do you remember a time when it wasn't cool?
She's such a badass.
He's not well. That's the bottom line. There's no way anyone who knows Donald Trump, but is not bought in some way, could watch him last night and not come away with a feeling that the President of the United States is completely unhinged and getting worse by the day. Perhaps the stress is really squeezing in on him.
I'm going to get an Emmy for this.
Yes.
It's interesting that a former reality TV star and colleague of Trump is releasing a book with the title, Unhinged. And this is a woman who knew him during his reality show days very well, and then went with him to the White House. And in it, she describes a reaction to a man that she had known for over a decade, who is in a state of mental decline.
Now, Omarosa.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody hated her.
Yes.
This is genius on her part.
Oh, yeah. She's going to sell 1 million copies.
And now she's flipped, and she'll be a media dark. This is so much like professional wrestling.
Yeah. Which Trump loves.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised to learn that he's in on it with her.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh, we're friends. Oh, my God. My friend just hit me in the back with a steel chair.
No, don't be silly. We don't have steel anymore because it's tariffed.
That's right. Should I continue?
Sure.
It's a concern that we've voiced on this show during the campaign and over the last tumultuous 18 months. Try and find someone who's not politically invested or too fearful of Donald Trump or the Republican Party, who knew the man a decade ago, who will tell you that his mental state has not deteriorated radically over the past few years or changed or come out in some way. It is transforming.
You know, it would be nice to be able to find someone who would have the courage to call Donald Trump crazy.
Yeah, who's not too afraid.
Yeah, too afraid
like me.
Too afraid to call out the Republican Party. If only someone had the courage in this country to call out the Republican Party on something.
We do live in two totally different worlds.
What we're watching. You will not that person from Donald Trump's past if they're telling you the truth. We were told of his unfitness for office by those closest to him on the campaign, and we saw it ourselves up close in the December 2015 interview in which he first pledged his fealty to Vladimir Putin. Now, let me tell you, you...
Well, it only took her a minute and 39 seconds to get to Russia.
Of course. Pledged his fealty to Putin.
And we've told you about people in the campaign, in Trump's campaign, that said he wasn't mentally fit to be president of the United States.
Well, did you catch the part, too? Even if they found somebody that would vouch for him, they would be lying. That's what she mentioned that.
Yeah.
She phrased it a little differently, but that's what it is. So regardless, somebody could step forward and be like, yes, I've known him for 50 years and he's been the same throughout. Nope. You're obviously scared of him. So there's no satisfying this demand.
Wow. What a gig.
I know.
I want one of those gigs.
Mm-hmm. And mind you, they still are drinking out of plastic straws every morning on that show.
Are they really?
Yeah. The table is covered with beverages. It shocks me. And I guess they want lids on them because there's a lot of electronics around. So everyone has basically a Starbucks and something else in front of them with a big straw.
Well, this can't stand.
No.
I think we need to start a hashtag campaign.
Mm-hmm. Lose the straws, Mika.
Yeah. Hey, hey, ho, ho, straws gotta go on Morning Joe.
That's a little long. We'll work on it. We'll come up with something good.
I just wanted the chant.
I know.
That would be a long hand. When you're using 140 characters of your 280 on your hashtag, it's probably too long.
Yeah.
Well, good for Mika. For Mika.
For Mika.
Yeah, Mika. Good for Mika.
I think poor Mika has a higher IQ than her.
Good for Mika for having the courage to speak out. Especially, she was doing it when it wasn't cool. Right.
When they were still palling around with Trump. So I found those tweets about her that he had put out. They're from June of 2017. Mm-hmm. So he says, I heard poorly rated Morning Joe speaks badly of me. And then parenthetically, I don't watch it anymore. And then how come low IQ crazy Mika, along with Psycho Joe, came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me. She was bleeding badly from a facelift. I said no. Oh, man. Mika may have a low IQ, but she never forgets.
Nope.
No, and she did put out a response tweet, which was making fun of his hand size.
Well, I mean, that's what you go with, right?
Yeah.
The hand size and the hair.
Mm-hmm.
And the orange glow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Our Cheeto god. But yeah, so they're back to this whole Trump has lost his mind. We must invoke the 25th Amendment, which tells me they're finally realizing the Russia thing is a hoax. But although they've been breathlessly covering the Manafort trial this week,
Yeah.
and they always neglect to say that it has nothing to do with anything he did during the campaign.
I'll tell you what, I'm all for them getting Trump impeached. They'll really enjoy President Pence.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't seen him in the van yet, throwing the gays in the van to take him to the conversion camp.
Oh, no?
No. Has that happened?
I think that footage you would find along with the drone footage of Maduro's attempted assassination.
I'm sure that we have at least 8 writers from Vox on that story as we speak.
Yep.
Well, we've been talking for an hour and 5 minutes, Tracy.
I know.
Got anything else?
There was some, speaking of the Manafort trial, the Podesta lobbying firm and a gentleman named Greg Craig, who was one of Obama's attorneys, their names have popped up in Mueller's investigation.
But nothing will happen.
Maybe not. Probably not.
I mean, they're Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
We know there are different rules for Democrats and Republicans.
CNN is reporting this.
Oh.
Yep.
Wow.
So they had an exclusive out. Mueller refers foreign agent inquiries to New York prosecutors. Notice how they leave all names out of these headlines. So he's been referring stuff to the Southern District of New York. Mm-hmm. Like that's where the Cohen thing is, which makes other people believe that there's nothing on Cohen, really. Because if there was, Mueller's team itself would be prosecuting them. So it says in the CNN report, at least one of the matters, I love that we all use this word now, involving Podesta, was referred to the Southern District of New York by Mueller's team shortly before the FBI executed searches of Cohen's home offices in early April. So this is interesting. So this is months ago, and now we're just hearing about it. And
it'll disappear.
Mm-hmm.
The paperwork in the office will get lost.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and they're not hounding them, of course. Like a representative for Podesta and the Podesta group declined to comment, and we're not going to wait on their front lawns,
right,
until they give us an answer.
Mm.
But I do think it's a little bit interesting. Has Manafort worked for them? You telling me he was the only bad apple in that bunch?
Yes.
So, oh, sorry. What was I thinking? Sorry. And it's only Tony Podesta that's so far in trouble, not Johnny.
Give it time.
Sure.
Okay. Don't you have to go to the pool?
I do.
All right, we're going to end this. Remember, you can find the Enough Already podcast on Stitcher, SoundCloud, TuneIn, iTunes, YouTube, and BitChute.
Mm-hmm.
BitChute. Final thoughts?
We got to get Scam Pack up and running.
We do.
We're leaving money on the table left and right.
I need a beach house.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to try to get more sleep.
Okay.
For next week's show.
Good idea.
And I had terrible coffee this morning.
Oh, is it the frou-frou stuff that you bought?
No, I like to get, you got me hooked on cold brew.
Yeah.
But I'm really bad about making my own cold brew.
They do sell it at the store now.
Yeah, so I like to get the Starbucks dark roast cold brew coffee.
How much is that?
It's $4.50, and it lasts me a week.
That's not terrible, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay, that's cool. Well, they didn't have dark roast, so I got blonde roast, not knowing what it was. Oh my gosh, it's like coffee-flavored water.
Oh no.
I mean, it doesn't taste like coffee. It's just like, oh, we just put a little tiny bit of coffee in your bottled water. Here you go. It's terrible.
Might as well just get Sanka.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got up early looking for stories today, and I'm foggy in the port, and it showed today. And I apologize to you and to most of you who are listening. Not all of you.
You could still run circles around Mika.
Oh, boy, setting the bar pretty high there. Anyway, she's Tracy. I'm Fingers. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with an all-new Enough Already.